Hey guys, Rob here. Pastor asked me to do midweek this week. Always get excited when I get an opportunity to speak. So hope everyone had a great 4th of July and a good weekend, a long weekend. But hope you had a great time with your families. And Sunday the 6th, I was able to speak actually in youth. And what I shared with the youth is what I want to bring tonight. And we're going to be looking at a couple different chapters in Genesis, starting at Genesis 11, and we're going to pick it up kind of in the middle there at verse 10. My Bible, the heading here at verse 10 says, "From Shem to Abram." What we're looking at here is these really at times confusing genealogies in the Bible, the begats, the begats, the begats. We don't have begats here. The other thing we don't have, I think it was Seth's account, that as it went through the genealogy at the end of each one, it said, and then they died. This one is a little more user friendly. They don't kill them off as quick there. They just talk about their continuation of the genealogy here. So starting at verse 10, it says, this is the account of Shem. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Arphaxad, I think. And after he had become the father of Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. When Arphaxad had lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. And after he became the father of Shelah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. This is how this account goes. They didn't just die. They had other sons and daughters. When Shelah had lived 30 years, he became the father of Eber. And after he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years, had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became the father of Reu. And after he became the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. We're getting there, I promise, we're getting there. When Reu had lived 32 years, he became the father of Serug. And after he became the father of Serug, Reu lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Serug had lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. And after he became the father of Nahor, Serug lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor had lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. We're close. We're really close. And after he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. After Terah had lived 70 years, he became the father of, here we are, Abram, Nabor, and Haran. Okay. Going on, verse 27, this is the account of Terah. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran became the father of Lot. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur of Chaldeans, in the land of his birth. Abram and Nahor had both married. Abram and Nahor both married. I didn't want it to sound like they married each other. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was a daughter of Haran, the father of both Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was barren. She had no children. Terah took his son Abraham, his granddaughter Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah lived 205 years, and he died in Haran. So lots of things to kind of unpack in what we just read. However, out of all those names, some key names should pop to mind. It was fun Sunday and the youth reading these names, and they're just staring at me, and I'm like, any of these names pop out? The names we should recognize would be Abram, which later changes to Abraham. I love how we see the name changes in the Bible. It's so parallel and significant to our own lives when we receive Christ into our lives. We take on a new identity. And so many significant moments in the Bible where a name change leads to just a great purpose, a plan. I love how God has plans for our lives, and if we'll talk about this today, if we can just get out of the way and God has plans, we have agendas. We move our agendas aside, we set those aside and let God be God. It's really cool how good He is at His job if we let Him do His thing. So what we saw here at the end of chapter 11 is basically they loaded up a truck and they moved to Beverly. The family packs, Terah, the head of this, and the father of Abraham, Nahor, and Haran became the father of Lot. So we see here where Terah took a son, Abraham, his grandson, Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law, Sarai, his wife, his son. The family loads up. They start out on a journey. They start in Ur, and they are heading to Canaan. What we see here is representation of, for all of us, that plan with God. It starts here, and He wants to get us there. But in this particular case, we see right here at the end of verse 31 that they were setting out from Ur, heading to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. And years ago, I literally circled those last two words, settled there, because once again, whatever the situation in our lives, there's a here. God needs to get us there. But so many times we can get right in the middle to Haran and literally settle for the middle. And God has so much bigger and better things in store for us, but we can become complacent in the middle. The middle has significance. It's all over our Bible, of situations where stories in the Bible where God uses the middle of our circumstance, the middle of our situation to truly catapult us into what it is that He has to do for us. We're going to read on verse 12 here. The heading again in my Bible says the call of Abram. The Lord said to Abram, leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land that I will show you. So He begins to challenge him. You've been in the middle too long. It's time to keep moving to what your destiny is, what I have waiting for you. And the next little bit, I love this. God begins to show him what is waiting on him, and He needs to show him, don't settle again for the middle, Abram. I've got bigger, better things ahead. The word says, I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse, and all the peoples on earth will be blessed through you. So Abraham left as the Lord had told him, with Lot with him. Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all of his possessions that he had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there. Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh and Shechem. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, to your offspring, I will give you this land. So he built an altar there, he built an altar to the Lord there who had appeared to him. From there, he went on toward the hills of Bethel, and he pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. First representation, potentially, of technology in the Bible. What did we just see there? Bethel on the west and Ai. Okay, bad joke, sorry. Ai on the east. There he built another altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. Then Abram set out and continued toward Negev. Okay, so verse 10, we're going to kind of skip over this next little bit. Abram heads to Egypt. There's significance in that story. It just doesn't necessarily connect to time-wise to what we're talking on today. You can look at that on your own. I want to go to verse 13. The heading at the top here, Abram and Lot separate. So Abram went up from Egypt to Negev with his wife and everything he had, and Lot went with him. Abram had become very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. From the Negev, he went from place to place until he came to Bethel, to place between to the place between Bethel and Ai, where his tent had been earlier and where he had first built an altar to the Lord. Then Abram called on the name of the Lord. Now Lot, who was moving along or traveling with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, but the land could not support them while they stayed together, for their possessions were so great and they were not able to stay together. And quarreling arose between Abram's herdsmen and the herdsmen of Lot. The Canaanites and the Perizzites were also living in the land at that time. So Abram said to Lot, let's not have any quarreling between you and me, or between your herdsmen and mine, for we are brothers, we're family. It's not the whole land, is not the whole land before you. Let's part company. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left. Abram literally looked at Lot and gave him a choice. Dude, we got to go separate ways. You go that way, I'll go this way, but you pick. You pick. Significance in that. Verse 10, Lot looked up and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan was well watered, like the gardens of the land. Once again, and as we're going from our here to our there, man, there's times the enemy, through confusion, through discord, through this situation of quarreling between uncle and nephew and uncle, Lot's given the choice. Abram gives him the choice. You pick. You go one way, I go the other. He starts to look around, and again, Lot finds himself maybe for the second time in the middle, and settles again for second best. He looks around. The enemy can make things look good. When we pause and we get in those middles, he can make those situations look good when, again, God has so much more in store for us. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan and set out towards the east. The two men parted company. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities in the plains and pitched his tents near Sodom. Now, the men of Sodom were wicked and were sinning greatly against the Lord. All those middle places are bad dudes, bad dudettes in those places. The Lord said to Abram and Lot, the Lord said to Abram after Lot had parted from him, lift up your eyes from where you look to the north and the south, the east and the west. All the land that you see, I will give to you and your offsprings forever. I will make your offsprings like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring would be counted. Go, walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you. So Abraham moved his tents and went to live near the great trees of Mamre at Hebron, where, again, he built an altar unto the Lord. All right, so again, Isaiah 1:19 says, if we're willing and obedient, we'll eat from the best of the land. That means we have to be willing to hear from the Lord. Then secondarily, we have to be obedient to walk out what he tells us. Then the rest of that scripture says you'll eat from the best of the land, which just simply translates into success. What we see here with Abram parting ways, there are times in our lives, I told the youth on Sunday, the most important, I've got a couple businesses, and the most important part of a business is inventory. You have to have a product to sell, but you have to have a stockpile of it, or if you don't have it to sell, there's nothing to sell. So I began to share with them, and I think it's relevant to us today as well. You have, I think, to be successful in life and to be successful getting from our here to our there, and being willing to hear God, being obedient to do what he tells us to do. I think there's times in lives we have to take friendentory, and we have to look around. I told those youth on Sunday, man, look at your friends that are around you right now. If you can look 10 years down the road and still see them building you up and being worthy and help pushing you forward, man, hang on to them. If these are people that they're not in your 10-year plan, you need to go ahead and kick them to the curb right now. And we saw that out of the situation with Abram and his nephew Lot. He's on a mission from God. He has somewhere to go. And, I asked the youth on Sunday, are they carrying around a lot of stress? Are they carrying around a lot of depression? Are they carrying around a lot of pressure? Even, or I asked them if they were carrying around a lot of guilt. You know, there's times that we go through seasons in life. I believe God allows us to go through things, A, so we can avoid going through them a second time, B, so we can help other people avoid those same situations that we go through, that we can maybe save them from a stumbling block in their lives. I believe life's all about adjusting and advancing. Our Christian walk is all about adjusting and advancing. We're flesh. We're who God created us to be, and we're going to fail. But it's, you know, getting back up and refocusing in that middle situation, because we can't stay there. We got to move to what God has promised for us. So as I asked him, you know, are you carrying around a lot of pressure, a lot of guilt, a lot of stress? You know, what is it that you're carrying around a lot of? What I come to realize in the story that we've read today out of Genesis 11 and 12 and 13 is literally Abram got to a point where he literally realized he was carrying around a lot, and he needed to leave a lot. He needed to release a lot. He needed to surrender a lot. He needed to let go of a lot. There were things standing between his here and his there that were causing him to keep finding himself in a middle position. And when God revealed it to him, because again, he was willing to hear the Lord speak, God revealed, hey, you're carrying around a lot. You need to get rid of a lot. You need to let go of a lot. When he did, and he was obedient to that, then again, the success, the best of the land, God once again reconfirmed to Abram what that there had waiting for him. So, man, what is it today in your life that you are carrying around a lot of? Don't know what that is. I know for me, very quickly, I know it's getting long, very quickly, here to there situation in my life that has recently transpired. I mentioned a couple businesses. I was with a staff of about 20 that work for me. In every spring, we rent a cabin in Gatlinburg, and I had my staff at a retreat in April. And April 11th was our last night of a four-day stay that we had there. Just fellowship, planning, praying over an event that we did 2 weeks ago, last week of June. At Bethel, we spoke about Bethel in our passage today at Bethel University in McKinsey, Tennessee. We were just focusing and praying and meeting over that week. And the last night just kind of organically found us in a room. There was 7 guys on one side of the room and 7, 8 ladies on the other side of the room. And we just began to share with each other. And one of my staff members brought up a prayer request that he was going to be facing when he got back. He's a pastor of a church in Florida. He was going to be facing a situation at the church and asked us to pray. So that just kind of led us to going around the circle and asking God to release a lot that we needed to leave on that mountain that night. And got around to me, and I have been a chronic migraine sufferer for 55 years. I know I don't look that old, but I is. So they came to me, and I said, you know what? I'd had 2 bad migraines that week. That was in April. It was easier for me to tell you from the 1st of January to April 11th, the days I didn't have a migraine versus the days that I did. That's just how frequent. Sometimes the longest, I had a 21-day migraine. They could go 2 days. They could go 6 days, 7 days, 21, again being the longest. So I said, you know what? I'm a little done, a little over these migraines. So one of my Baptist friends said, Rob, have you ever tried James 5? And I'm like, James 5, are you kidding? I'm Pentecostal. I've been anointed in oil so many times you could fry me like a chicken. And he said, but have you done it verbatim like the word says? So again, willing to hear God that night, obedient to do what he said. Had we tried it in order, I think what I looked at, I think it's verse 14 that talks about calling on the elders to anoint and pray. Man, I think in my circles and in my life and all the prayer lines I'd been in and all the clinics and trial medications and different prescriptions that I was on, nothing ever worked. I think we skipped and wasn't obedient to do in order what that passage in James 5 says. So we did that. And it says, if any of you are sick, let him pray, let him ask for healing. So I prayed and asked the Lord to heal me. Then it says to rejoice. We spend a little bit of time worshiping. And then finally, third thing is call upon the elders to anoint you with oil and pray. So we did that night. And long story short, my here was as early as I could remember as a young child telling my mom I have a headache. And then my there 55 years, that middle was a 55-year period. And we can't question God's timing. Isaiah again says his ways and thoughts are higher than ours. He has a plan, and there's a process. And at times we just simply have to trust that process. So we prayed on that mountain that night, April 11th. I'm kind of starting to lose track, but here's the praise report. I think we are 87 days headache free. I've not had a migraine headache in 87 days, which is unheard of. I don't remember going a solid week in my entire life, 7 days. So there's significance in us letting go of a lot. There were things that night that, and as I was praying and asking the Lord to heal me, man, I just was in a new perspective, a new vision of just wanting to latch onto that promise that he had in Isaiah that says, again, man, I love Isaiah, y'all, but Isaiah 53, where it says, by his stripes we were healed. I latched onto that night and didn't want to stay in Heron any longer. I didn't want to stay in the middle. So again, whatever it is you're going through, it could be relational, financial, health, I don't know. But if we can get to that point where we can realize he just wants us to release a lot in our lives. So let go of a lot and watch God show up and show out on your behalf. All right. Hey, thank you for taking time to listen to Little Old Me tonight. Y'all be blessed. Bye-bye.